Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is Saturday, the 13th of January 2018. I'm so glad that you're joining this madness today. This is a knitting podcast in which I talk about my finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions. Today I will continue my commercial yarn review as well. I have a pair of socks and yarn and how it wore and stuff to show you guys. I haven't had any coffee yet and I'm wondering why I haven't made myself some for this podcast, but we'll try to push through and see how it goes. Anyways, so if you're checking this out for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you are coming back, thank you ever so much. I can't believe that some of you guys have been following this podcast for like a year or two, even 2 years, or since the beginning. That is just insane to me. So thank you guys so much for that. Before we kick off with all the knitting, I have some prize winners to announce, finally. I was going to do this last week, but I forgot. I forgot and then I didn't have time and so on, whatever. So, to keep it short, we had a knit-along running, which was the Challenge Cal 2017. And the idea was to do something that challenges you and like a new technique, a new knitting style, a new-to-you garment, something like that. And I have drawn 2 winners, and the winners have been drawn using random.org from the finished object thread. And the first prize, I have them packaged up, so I'm going to leave them like this. I have shown them in a previous podcast, but the first prize package is a skein of yarn from Twisted Threads, who is Stacy. She has a beautiful online store, and she dyes yarn, and she also makes bags, so there's also a bag included in this set. There's a little stitch marker, and also there is one of the pins from Fiber and Brimstone, which was a company started by Ellen of the Idle Cat Knits podcast, which sadly doesn't exist anymore. So you will get this purple-themed prize package, and the winner of that was number 11. And number 11 is Share My Passion, who is Ilse from Latvia, who I talked about last week. And she has designed her first pattern, which is super exciting. I hope you will write it up and publish it on Ravelry because it looks really beautiful. So Ilse, I'm so happy you won. Please get in touch with your address and I will send this prize out to you. The second prize is another package, and this one includes a skein of yarn. Sorry, I'm going to leave this packaged up again. This is from Giddy Yarns, who is a UK-based dyer, and you also get a set of mini skeins from another UK-based dyer called Ducky Darlings. And she has also given you a little ducky progress keeper as well as some tea. So this second prize package went to number 9, and number 9 was Crinny, who is Ina or Corinna, and she's actually living here in Munich, and I think we talked before on Instagram. So congratulations to you as well. Ina knit her first ever socks with Afterthought heels, and they turned out well, and I'm so excited for you. So again, get in touch with me, either with your address or maybe we can figure out a spot to meet and I can give you this prize in person. Whatever you prefer, let me know. So thank you to everyone who has participated in this knit-along, and of course thank you so much for the people who donated these prizes. That was really, really lovely. And my voice is going, I'm not sure why. I'm doing that weird thing where I talk and I get out of breath for no reason. So anyways, those are the prize winners. Like I said, thank you again, and now we will move on to finished objects. So, I have one finished object this week, and no surprise, it is a pair of socks. So these are the socks that I knit out of some commercial yarn that I found on our trip over New Year's Eve. This pair is going to be for Kai, although I'm slightly worried that it might be too small. I knit the foot too short, which is really stupid. I don't know why I did that. So we'll have to see if they will fit him. If not, they'll go into the big gift basket, or maybe I'll reknit them. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, the yarn that I used is a yarn that I haven't used before. It's by Gründel, who is a German sock company, and it's in the Hot Socks Rubin or Rubin range, which is a merino bamboo and nylon blend. And I don't think I've ever knit with a bamboo sock yarn before, so that was really interesting. And this is colorway number 2. And you can see it's just a really fun sort of self-patterning yarn. I knit vanilla socks, except I used Mina's mini heel flap adjustment, which she published a while ago, I think about a year ago. And it's sort of like a tiny heel flap that you knit before you knit a fish lips kiss heel or just any short row heel. So I tried that for the first time and it worked really well. So I will give you guys an update when Kai has worn these for a while to let you know how he likes them and how the fit is and so on. But yeah, I'm really happy with these. I finished them on our trip to Vienna, which I'll talk more about later on. And yeah, I mentioned last week that I was really impressed with the sock yarn. It is a commercial sock yarn that is exceptionally soft and it has a bit of a shine to it, probably thanks to the bamboo content. And yeah, I still really, really like it. So those are my only finished objects for this week. So we will move on straight to no. We will not. We will move on to works in progress. And some of the works in progress that I shared with you last week I haven't worked on, so I've only brought the ones that I have actually knit on. So I have a few to show you guys. First of all, because it's not in the project bag, I'll just show this to you first, is my faded Boxy. So I am knitting the Boxy sweater, which is a oversized sweater pattern by Joji Locatelli. I am knitting the fingering weight version. And I am knitting it as a fade. So I used 4 skeins of sock yarn. I used 4 skeins of Shebot Garner in their soft sock space, which is an 80-20 merino nylon blend. And it's a super, super soft sock yarn. I've talked about it lots of times in the past. So I decided to knit a sweater out of it. And I had a sock trio, sort of like a fade set called Ocean Trio. And I also had a 4th skein that somehow matched, which was called Waterfall. So I'm in the middle of my last fade, which is why it's kind of hard to show you guys, but it is a bottom-up sweater. I have changed around the numbers to make it less wide, although it is still incredibly wide and huge and tent-like. And all the modifications for that can be found on my project page, so I will just leave that there. But this is where I am with it. So you can see 3 colors have been knit and faded, and I'm just starting my 4th color, my 4th and last color. And once I have completed the sort of fading part, I will then split for the sleeves. This is already quite a bit longer than it is written up in the pattern, which is fine by me. But I'm pretty excited to split for the sleeves soon, and I think this thing will be done pretty quickly. So I am very excited about this. It's hard to show you guys because it is on a shorter cord. This is on, I think, 40-inch needles. But yeah, I'm still really, really, really enjoying it. It is a crazy amount of stockinette. If you don't like knitting stockinette, don't knit the sweater. But with the fading, I think it keeps it interesting, and I'm really enjoying the yarn and the process and everything with it. Like I said, I have no idea how this is going to look on me. But I figure I'm having lots of fun, and if worst comes to worst and it looks like a tent, I will just wear it at home and it will be ridiculously comfortable. I can wear it with tights, and I am really excited about this, no matter how it turns out. So yeah, I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles, and I think that's all I have to share. Hopefully next time I show this to you guys, fingers crossed, I will have finished the body. That would be really amazing. Although maybe I shouldn't make any promises. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that is my first work in progress. My second sweater that I'm knitting at the moment, which is the Sunset Highway sweater, I think I haven't knit a single stitch on it, so I'm not showing that to you today. But I have 1 pair of socks to show you, of course, as well as a new cast on. So this pair is a pair of socks I was going to finish last night, but then instead of finishing it, I cast on something new. But this is still my New Year's Eve cast on. So I cast on a pair of socks on New Year's Eve, and last week I had already finished the first sock, so nothing new to show you guys on that. But since last time I have almost finished the second sock as well. I took these socks as well on our trip to Vienna, and I had about half of the ribbing of the second sock done when we left. And now I have obviously knit most of the sock. I have turned the heel, and I think I have about maybe 2 inches to go before I start the toe. So these are almost done, and I'm really excited about these. These are knit out of hedgehog fibers in their sock base in the colorway Playground, which was a club colorway, and I love it. I love it so much. I just picked the craziest hedgehog fiber skein that I had in my stash because I wanted something bright and colorful for my New Year's Eve cast on, and this one definitely has not disappointed. So very happy about these, and these will be for me. I mentioned before how much I love wearing hedgehog fiber socks. I really like their base, so I'm working on a bit of a fancy hedgehog fiber sock drawer, so that will, I think, be pair number 4 for my hedgehog fiber sock drawer, and I'm really, really excited about it. And I didn't mention this, but all of my socks are usually knit on US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and I do 64 stitches for myself. So, and then my last project is one that I'm really, really excited about. This was a sort of love at first sight cast on, which I rarely do. But yesterday I was just browsing Instagram and I found a new pattern that had just come out. It is the Drifter shawl, and of course now the name of the designer escapes me, but I will try to, if I remember, put the name of the designer on here. Otherwise I will definitely link it in the show notes. But it is the Drifter shawl, and it is a beautiful asymmetric shawl. And you can knit it in either 2 or 3 colors. And if you're watching this on the weekend, I think she had a discount sort of like introductory price. So if you're really fast and you like the design, maybe hop on over to Ravelry and see if you can get it at the reduced price. Anyways, I chose to do the 2-color version. And I don't know, I just really loved it. It's sort of like a shawl with lots of different sections and slip stitches, and it just looks like a really easy to wear and fun to knit shawl. So I just jumped on it. I bought the pattern, went to my stash, picked up some yarn, and just cast on immediately. And the 2 yarns that I pulled, I'm really, really excited about. This neon pink one, it is very, very neon. This was a gift from a lovely friend of mine, and this is by Tike Garne, which is a German indie dye company. I think they're based out of Munich, no, Hamburg, is that right? I know that Marion got this for me in Hamburg. Anyways, it is their merino singles. It's 100% merino superwash, 366 meters, 400 yards. And the colorway is called Pink! And I love this colorway. I think, obviously my friend knows me very well. And I decided that this would be sort of the perfect shawl to combine it with something slightly more sane and tone it down while still be really, really fun. So this is actually another German indie dyed yarn. And both of these dyes I have not tried before. This is a beautiful skein of yarn by Garn Stories, who you might have heard about before. Like I said, they're also based out of Germany. It's also a merino superwash singles yarn, and the colorway is Pink Pegasus. And you can see it has these slightly, this very small sort of neon pink flecks in it that complement my other skein completely. So I think these will be really, really fun together. And yeah, I am in love with this combination, and I'm also really excited to be using German yarns and yarns that I haven't tried before, and I've kind of had an itch to knit with more singles yarn lately, so this is perfect. So in terms of the shawl, I have not that much exciting stuff to show you yet, because I'm still in the first section, which is quite a lot of knitting with just 1 color, so it looks a bit like the beginning of the Find Your Fate shawl or uterus. But this is where I am. I think I have a couple more increases to do before I can finally start the second color, and I think that's when things are going to be really interesting. But yeah, I'm really enjoying knitting on it so far. You're supposed to use a 4mm needle, I believe, or 3.75, but you know me, I always knit my fingering weight yarn on a 3.5, so that's what I did as well, and I think it'll be fine. Also with this yarn, this pink one from Tika Garne, when I got it in a skein, I really loved the color, but it felt kind of rough to me for a singles yarn, and I don't know why, because ever since winding it and working with it, it is super soft and I really love it. So I'm not sure why I had that impression at the beginning, but this totally proved me wrong, and I'm really, really, really excited about this. How many times can I say I'm excited about this? I feel kind of stupid because I'm going on and on about this, and all I have is sort of like a pink uterus. But oh well, I'm really happy about it, and that's all that counts. So hopefully going to reach the second section today, and that'll be that. So that's it in terms of works in progress, at least for the ones that I'm going to show you today. Like I said, I still have another sweater and another pair of socks on the needles. Whoops. I was going to cast on more socks today, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I shouldn't. Anyways, before moving on to acquisitions, I want to do another commercial sock yarn review. And for those of you who haven't watched this before, this is something I started last year. And I'm not sponsored or anything by these companies. No one asked me to do these reviews. I just figured I live in Germany, which is kind of the home of good old German sock yarn. And also I knit a lot of socks. So I asked you guys a while back if you would be interested in just hearing how commercial sock brands that I have worn and knit with and washed and so on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just telling you guys my opinion, and I'm not sponsored by anyone, and I realize that some of you might have different opinions. So the yarn that I'm going to talk about today is actually part of my acquisitions as well, or I should say Kai's acquisitions, because he picked up a skein of this in Vienna for socks for himself, and so I just thought it made sense to also review this since I've already knit with this yarn. So the yarn that I'm talking about is Austermann, which is a commercial sock yarn company made in Germany. And this is their hand-dyed line. They have different lines, but somehow I always end up with this one because Kai really loves their colors. So it does look like an indie dyed yarn, but it is still a commercially dyed yarn, so I think it counts for this review. So this is the colorway that he picked up because you guys know he loves green and yellow. This is colorway number 15, and it's a 75-25 virgin wool and polyamide blend. So a very sort of standard basic sock yarn, very sturdy, and this is what they look like in the skein. Austermann also have just normal balls of sock yarn. I just haven't tried these before. So this is what it looks like when you get it. And I have brought you a sock that I knitted out of a different colorway for Kai. And this is what it looks like. I think these I knit for him about a year ago, so they have been worn quite a bit. They have been thrown through the wash. I knit them as a vanilla latte sock, which is a free pattern on Ravelry in case you're interested. And just to give you a close-up, first of all, you can see the colors pool, and I think they look really nice. And in terms of how they have worn, I think they look pretty good. They do have some pilling on them, I'm not sure if you can tell. But all in all, considering Kai is really hard on his socks, I think they have worn relatively well. You can see there's one spot here where it's kind of felted. I assume there's maybe something in his shoe that has caused this. But considering all the facts, and they have gone through the washing machine lots of times, I think these have still held up pretty well, and most importantly, they haven't sort of like stretched out too much or anything, and they're still perfectly wearable. In terms of knitting with this yarn, it is not my favorite, but I don't mind it. I just like really soft yarn, and I like knitting with the merinos, and this knits up sort of like a regia. I would compare it to a regia yarn in terms of like the sturdiness and the scratchiness. It is perfectly fine, but it's one of the yarns where I love the finished product, but I don't love knitting with it, but I don't hate it either. It's just a very standard sort of sock yarn. So I would definitely recommend this yarn to you guys if you can find it somewhere. If you don't have oversensitive feet or hands for knitting with it, and I would definitely say that these are some very well wearing socks, and you can just throw them in the washing machine and they will be just fine. I also didn't experience any bleeding with this yarn, and Kai really loves them, so I think that's definitely his seal of approval on that. So yeah, price-wise, this range, the hand-dyed range, is of course a little bit more expensive than their normal balls of sock yarn, but I think I got this one on a sale for like 10 euros or something, which I think is okay. So yeah, let me know if you have knit with this yarn. I would really be interested to see how their other qualities knit up and compare. But yeah, like I said, I have only tried this quality, so that's the only one I'm reviewing today. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I would be very interested. So I'm back. I made myself some coffee, which feels so good right now. Yes, I am totally addicted to coffee, but I don't really care. So, before I go into acquisitions, one thing I remembered that I wanted to talk about was I have decided to keep the One Ball with Love cowl, which is a year-long knit-along to knit with commercial sock yarn, open for another year, because you guys seem to be enjoying it, and there are so many fun socks in there, and a lot of you guys have gotten in touch and asked me to just keep it open, just keep it running, because you guys will keep on knitting commercial yarn socks. So I thought that would be perfect, especially now that I'm also every now and then reviewing commercial sock yarn. It just makes sense. So please feel free to hop over there if you haven't joined in yet, or if you want to just look at some pretty socks. There's plenty of opportunity over there. So in terms of stash enhancement and acquisitions, first of all, we have received some amazing bags for the podcast and also for me. And how am I going to show this to you guys? The company, I'll talk about the company first and then show you some of their products. But the company that I'm talking about is Lamy or Lamy. I would guess it's called Lamy Project Bags. So this is their card. They have an Etsy store, which is really beautiful. I would definitely recommend you check them out. And the dyers behind this company, or the makers behind this company, are Lucia and Martina, and they are based out of Slovakia, which I think is awesome. I don't know anyone in Slovakia, I think, so that's really cool. So anyways, they were really, really lovely. They got in touch with me and asked if they could send some prizes for the podcast and also for myself. And I, of course, said yes, because I do have a couple of knit-alongs planned. And they sent me 2 bags. And what's so special about their bags is the fact that they use indigo hand-dyed fabric. So I'm just going to read this because I'm really bad at explaining stuff. But their card here, they have a really sort of nice explanation to the product, which I think is really fun. And it says, dyeing fabric with indigo has a rich history in many regions of Slovakia since 17th century. In Slovakia, this kind of fabric is called modrodlach, sorry for butchering that, which literally means blueprint. White cotton fabric is first stamped with the pattern using a negative medium. Then the fabric is dyed in an indigo bath. After drying, the negative medium is removed, leaving a light pattern on a dark blue fabric. Lamy proudly uses local handmade fabrics dyed in Slovakia. So I think that is really cool, and I haven't seen this before. And they sent 2 different style bags, which are both so stunning, and they said I could keep one and use one for a future giveaway. And these are the 2 bags they sent me. So they're different styles. This one has buttons, or like button snaps at the top, and this handle, which I think is really, really useful. And you could like even knit out of it with the buttons closed, which would sort of be a good yarn handle. Or if you're doing color work, you could thread the yarn through different areas of the bag. I think that would be really, really handy. And if you open it up, it's all lined with beautiful white linen, and it has pockets, and with this also came a beautiful stitch marker. And this is just a beautifully and well-made bag. You can see the indigo fabric here. I think it's really fascinating that that can be dyed just with indigo by hand. I think that is really stunning. And yeah, it is very, very well made. You can see their logo is down here, which I think is really cute as well. And the bottom is a really sturdy canvas fabric, so I think this one will hold up really, really well, but it's still sort of like, this is definitely very beautiful, very elegant, very fragile. Whereas the second one they sent me is different and a lot more sturdy. Like this one is a drawstring bag, and this one is a super thick cotton at the top, which makes it super sturdy and more like sort of like a yarn basket, which again I think is really, really useful. So this one has this beautiful leaf print and canvas at the top, and it's also fully lined. It also has pockets, and this one is different to sort of the project. Both of these are very different to the project bags I've seen before, but I really like this as well. I think it's a really stunning project bag, and both of these stand up really well on their own, even without any yarn in them. So yeah, I think these are just incredibly well made, and I really love the feel of these, the quality of these. They both have sort of wide bottoms, so you can definitely fit a lot of stuff in here. And yeah, I really like them. So thank you so much to both of you for sending these my way. I'm having a hard time deciding which one I'll keep and which one I'll use for a giveaway, but I think I have a feeling this one is going to be the one that I will use for a giveaway for a knit along very soon. So thanks again for sending these our way. I'm sure you guys will love them as much as I do, and I am still waiting for one other prize, and then I think I will announce a new knit along, possibly even next week. So yeah, very, very excited about this. And oh yeah, the one thing I have forgotten to show you is this one also has a progress keeper on it, and it's this beautiful little cup. It's just, there you go. It is just stunning, and everything that here is just made with so much like detail, and I really, really love these. Also, when I went to pick these up at the post office yesterday, I was expecting something completely different, so it was a lovely surprise to get fun yarn related things instead of boring work things in the mail. So yeah, that is that. All the other acquisitions or new things I have in my stash to show you guys are things that I got, and most of them have been purchased on our trip in Vienna. I'll start with the one thing that I ordered quite a while ago, and that just happened to arrive while we were gone. And that is one skein of very colorful sock yarn from another German indie dyer who I haven't tried their yarn before. This is from Lakeside Wolle or Lakeside Yarns, and they do have an Etsy store as well, but I'll just show you their card and I'll try to link it in the show notes. So she dyes yarn in Germany, and I got a skein of her fine merino sock yarn, which is it's a 75% merino, 25% polyamide blend, and this colorway is called Feuerwerk, which means fireworks, and that is exactly what it reminds me of. It is mostly black or like a really dark gray, and then it has these super fun colors, and I just had to order that to try that. The price point on this was also really great, so I just figured some good old German sock yarn is always welcome in my stash, and that arrived or was waiting for me when we got back from our trip. The other yarn I got on my trip, as I said, so this stash enhancement section will probably somehow turn into a bit of a travel story / life in general section as well. So for those of you who don't know, for Christmas Kai got me the present to go to Vienna for 3 days, which was really, really exciting, especially since I went to Vienna about 11 years ago with my grandparents. It was the first time or only time I went on holiday with them. It was also my first time flying on a plane, and it was just so exciting, and I have really, really fond memories of that trip. So Kai picked up on that because I kept on talking about it, and he gave me a trip for the two of us to go down to Vienna. And we went by train. It's about a 4-hour train ride from Munich. And as part of my Christmas gift, he said that we were going to go to a yarn store, and I was allowed to pick myself one skein of yarn that would also be part of my Christmas gift. So in the end, we ended up going to 3 yarn stores because my boyfriend is an angel. And the first yarn store we went to is called Sunshine Loop. And the yarn that I picked is one, I was there for ages because they had amazing companies and amazing dyers. It was a really great yarn store, to be honest. They had this big wall of like hedgehog fibers, biscotti yarns, Life in the Long Grass, 3 Irish Girls, and like I could have just moved in there. But in the end, I decided to get this one skein of the Uncommon Thread, which is a UK-based indie dyer, or dyer I should say, I'm not sure how big the company is. And their lush worsted base is 80% superwash merino wool, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon. So this caught my eye pretty much from when I walked into the store, and after not being able to decide for ages, I did in the end go with this one because I really thought it would be nice to knit a super luxurious hat out of this, because I still only have one hat that I wear all the time. So I can have another hat, and every time I wear it I will think of my lovely boyfriend. So I really love this. The colorway is covered up. It's called Rocky Horror, and it just got these really fun, beautiful speckles. And I think they're subtle enough that I could do some cabling or something, like they wouldn't detract too much from the patterning. But yeah, I just really love it, and the base feels lovely. So that was my first purchase. And they also had biscotti yarns. And I'm not going chronologically here, but after like leaving it there and then thinking about it for 2 days, just before we headed to the train back on our last day, I went back to the same store and did decide to pick up one skein of biscotti yarns, because I have never knit with their yarn. If you don't know biscotti, it is a Canadian company famous for their self-striping yarn. This is their logo. And you know me, I love self-striping yarn, I love knitting socks. And the colorway that I chose after a lot of going back and forth is called Knit Me With Your Best Shot. I was very torn between this and the watermelon colorway, which also looked really fun, but I did in the end go with this one. And I really like the colors. I think they're kind of unusual, but it's going to be a really, really nice pair of socks. Then on our second day, we also hit 2 yarn stores, and we spent like half a day finding them because it was raining and it was just miserable. We were really unlucky weather-wise, but the yarn stores were really good. So the second store we went to was called Wolle-Wien, and for this one I actually do have a card. And it was really fun. Their card comes with a needle size gauge thing, so it gives you the UK, European and US needle sizes, which I think is really handy. So I've already thought about just taping that somewhere here where I podcast, so I can finally stop guessing when it comes to telling you guys the different needle sizes. But anyways, I picked up one skein of yarn, and it's the only skein of Austrian yarn that I did pick up, and it is from Vienna Wolle, who I've talked about before. They're an Austrian yarn company that I really like, but I find them somewhat hard to get in Germany. And this is a colorway that I've never seen before, and they had a couple of different ones like this, or like very similar but with different shades in it. So I'm not sure, maybe this might be like one of a kinds or something, I'm not quite sure. It says on here the line is Carousel, and it doesn't even, oh, it's colorway number 18. So I have no idea if this is sort of like a regular colorway or not, but I thought it was really, really beautiful. It's this shades of like pink going into red, going into orange. And I just think this would make a really fun pair of socks. And obviously I needed some like souvenir yarn from Austria. So I'm really, really excited about this. And then the last yarn that I picked up from was from a yarn store called Wollmeile. And they had a lot of indie-dyed yarn, but a lot of indie-dyed yarn that came from Germany, such as Wollmeise, Frieda Fuchs, Das Mondschaf. But I did actually pick up a skein of Mondschaf yarn because I mentioned her before, and knit with her yarn before. I really, really just like her yarn, and this was the first time I saw it in person. Before, I always just got it online, but I don't know if she has any resellers in Germany. But anyways, she had this colorway that I have been wanting to order for quite a while, but never did. This is her Grey Joy colorway. On her glitter base, which I haven't tried before, it's a merino nylon stellina base. And like I said, I just always wanted this colorway, so when it was right there, why shouldn't I get it? So yeah, I'm really excited about this purchase as well, and that concludes my acquisitions for this week. So I think this trip was very successful yarn-wise as well as otherwise. And with that, now I'm just going to be talking about life in general and our trip. So if you're only here for the yarny things, then I will talk to you guys next week. Otherwise, please do stick around. I feel like I'm so out of it again today. This seems to happen every time I record these days, so maybe I should just accept that that is the way it is. Anyways, our trip to Vienna. We had such a good time, even besides the yarn stores. First of all, we took the train there, and it was a really nice train journey. I really enjoyed just knitting on the train and reading and watching series, and yeah, it was a really good trip there. But by the time we got there, I was so hungry and so tired, and I didn't have any coffee, and I was miserable. But we did finally get to our hotel, which was really lovely. I think we picked a really good time because it was just after the Christmas holidays, so everything seemed very quiet, and I think our hotel was pretty quiet as well. I'm not sure if they were even if they even had that many guests. So like I said, our hotel was really nice. Weather-wise, we were kind of unlucky, which seems to be the theme with our holidays lately. So the first day it was just really cold and windy, and the second day it was completely rainy the entire day. It was just pouring down. But then on our third day, I woke up in the morning and the sun was shining, and I was really, really excited. So we got up quite early, we skipped breakfast and went straight to the castle Schönbrunn, which I really wanted to go back to, and actually got some sunshine, which was really lovely. So they have this huge sort of park behind the castle, and it's just a beautiful place to walk around. And we actually sat down, got some sunlight. I did some knitting, and then the sun went away pretty quickly again. But we had like 2 hours of sunshine in the trip, so that was really, really nice. The rest of the time, like I said, it was really rainy, which made sightseeing a little bit harder. So we did more sort of indoor things as well. But yeah, what was really amazing about Vienna was their coffee. They have amazing coffee houses, and oh my gosh, I had so much coffee. It was so good. Also, the food was really good, although I think we had a few bad luck moments when we picked our restaurants. But of course, we had Schnitzel, we had Kaiserschmarrn, we had Palatschinken, which are like Austrian pancakes. And yeah, we basically spent a lot of time just eating and drinking. We found this one coffee shop or coffee house or whatever that had a pianist playing every night. So we went there twice, and it was just really, really nice. We also went to the Arts Museum, where we saw like Picasso and Monet and lots of really interesting paintings. And we did a couple of other museums as well, and lots of walking, so much walking. It was kind of painful at the end, but yeah, all in all, we had an amazing time, and I think we really made the most out of it as well, which was good. I didn't get much knitting done, but that was to be expected. I did most of my knitting on the train, and I mean, I didn't go there to knit, so that was fine. So we arrived back in Munich at like 11 p.m. on Thursday, and now today is Saturday, so I have this weekend before both of us go back to work on Monday. Oh no. So I have mixed feelings about that. I always, of course, I knew that our break was going to come to an end, but I'm starting my new job on Monday, and I'm, of course, slightly nervous and anxious about it, but I'm just hoping for the best, and I'm sure it'll be okay. I have my first work trip on Wednesday, and before I start work, like this weekend, I just want to hang out and knit and catch up on my podcasts. I'm having a lot of fun with my projects, and yeah. So that sort of concludes our mini break, or I think we had like a 3-week break, which was really lucky. I can't remember the last time where both of us had so much time off, so that was really, really good. And I feel like we did so many trips and did so many things in these last 3 weeks. So we really did make the most of it, and I'm also kind of looking forward to just being home for a while now as well. On Monday we did our IKEA trip as well. I don't know about you guys, but I always love the idea of going to IKEA, but I actually hate being at IKEA because I find it really stressful. But we did go and pick up a couple of things. Of course, the main thing that we went there to get, which was another bookshelf, was sold out. But still, so our apartment is mostly shiny and new now, and I'm happy to be home. So that's a lot of rambling for one podcast, more than I have been doing in the past. So I think I'm going to let you guys go. I will most likely podcast again next weekend. I'm a bit cautious because obviously I'm starting a new job, so I don't really know how tiring it will be and how I will feel on the weekend. But I, of course, do plan to keep this podcast running because it gives me lots of joy. So just thank you so much for watching. If you're a winner, please do get in touch. Besides that, I always love hearing from you guys. I love seeing you guys maybe over on Instagram, where you can find me as the Happy Knitting Podcast. And until I see you next, thank you so much for watching, and happy knitting. Have a great weekend. Bye.